Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my van down by the river. So earlier today than the previous video, I posted up my story of my almost old man fight, where an old man bum rushed my vehicle and tried to take a swing at me through the window. And so I thought, well, I'm in storytelling mode. Why don't I tell you the story of the first time somebody tried to take a swing at me through the window of my car and what happened to them. Now, I was a younger person with more to prove and less concerned with other people's safety and more concerned with them understanding that I'm not to be pushed around and I'm not to be bullied. So I do not recommend repeating what I did the first time. What I did the second time with it, that was prudent with the old man fight. If you didn't see that, go look at it. I was being prudent. In this story I'm about to tell you, I was 19 years old and I was not being prudent. In fact, I was being imprudent. So the story starts with me in my favorite old pickup truck that I had when I was young. It was my first pickup truck of my own, and it was a 1979 Chevy Love four-wheel drive. It was on about a 6-inch lift kit though, so it was a big truck with big, a tall truck with big tires. And when I sat in it, if you stood next to me, an average man would be looking at me like at eye level. You know, if I'm seated, I'm about at the same level you are if you're standing. And that's how tall up it was. It had a little bitty steering wheel. It was awesome. It had all of the roll bars and the lights on top and the brush bar and the lights on top and big mutter tires and chrome wheels and three-tone, tri-tone paint. It was gold and orange and brown, and it had these racing stripes, and it was just, wow! I loved that truck. Anyway, so, and we're doing a thing, me and this guy that I'm with, are doing this thing. I'm kind of babysitting, I'm babysitting my girlfriend's cousin, I think. It was her cousin. And she was doing something with her mother, and she needed to ditch him, and he was a drag, so they sent me out to entertain him, you know. And so that, you know, I wasn't always an angel. My idea of entertainment was driving around in my truck, ogling the girls trying to meet somebody with a bottle of Jack Daniels in my hand and a sawed-off shotgun in the seat next to me. I was pretty rednecky when I was young. Let's just put it that way. The metropolitan Dallas-Fort Worth area kind of, it had its effect on me over time, and I got more refined. But back then, that was my idea of a party. And so I took this kid out with me while I went to Cruise the Gut. What is cruising the gut, Sage? If you're young, you may not even know what this is, but we used to cruise around in specific areas in our cars real slow and talk to each other as we passed each other in the cars, and, you know, we could flirt with the girls, and maybe someone will say, hey, there's a party over at this place, come to the party. It's how we met people before the internet. That's how teenagers met people. And this story takes place in the summer of 1985, 86 maybe, and it's in Arlington, Texas, on Mitchell Street, which is right parallel to the University of Texas at Arlington, UTA. And so every Friday and Saturday night, people would just drive up and down this street and drink and smoke weed illegally and drink illegally, and the cops never tried to stop it because there were just so many of them. I mean, there might be 1,000 cars out there on a Friday or Saturday night. That people came from all over to cruise Mitchell Street. And so I lived in Arlington at the time. So they told me to babysit this guy. So I'm like, okay, let's grab a fifth of Jack, and we'll go down to Cruise Mitchell and see if we can, you know, get you a girlfriend or something. And so we're, you know, driving real slow like you're stuck in traffic. And there's a carload of girls in a convertible, and they're just these college girls, and they're just real pretty hair. I mean, it's the 80s, and they're sitting up on the back of this convertible with their feet in the seat, you know, and there's about 5 of them in this car, and I'm thinking it might have been a Mustang convertible, and they're drinking wine coolers, and all the guys are hooting at them, and they're being flirty. And when they go by, you know, I have a talk with them. Hey, man, how's it going? You guys, girls are having fun? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Where's the party at? You know, the regular thing people used to do before the internet. before you swiped, you had to actually go out and try to meet somebody. But anyway, And I'm having this good interaction with them. And as they cruise past, I'm kind of yelling back over my shoulder at them at the window as they go away. And 2 cars behind them is a car full of drunken frat boys. And they're just on a tear. They're all loaded. Most of them don't even have their shirts on. You know, it's like August. And they're hot and sweaty and drunk. And they're crammed in this car. And one of them in the window next to me thought I was talking to him when I was talking to the girls over my shoulder. And he thought I said something to him. And he piled out of that vehicle, come running over there and bum rushed my window. And he got up in my face. "Hey man, what did you say to me? You talking smack to me? What did you say to me?" I'm like, dude, calm down. Chill out, okay? I was talking to the girls. Did you not see the car full of hot girls in the convertible? And he's like, oh, okay, man, well, you better not be talking smack to me or I'll kick your ass. And he turned around and started to walk off, right? That's where I should have let it go. I should have just let him have the last word. But remember, I don't do well with bullies. You want to provoke a fight with me, then bully me. And I'll talk smack, and either you take the first swing or we just agree to that we're, neither one of us are really going to fight, So, anyway, he comes back up to he's at the window, and he turns to stalk off, right? Sorry, I had to get back where I was. He turns to stalk off and turned his back to me. And that's when I just decided that I was going to escalate things. I made a conscious decision to escalate things. And so I called him something, and the first word is stupid, right? I called him a stupid, and the other part rhymes with rock chucker. So I called him a stupid rock chucker, but that's not what I called him. And in Texas, that's fighting words to the highest degree. Like, you say that to somebody and it's on, and I knew that. I just wasn't going to let him get away with accosting me, getting in my face, being the mistaken one, and then not being humble enough to go, "Oh, sorry, dude." He just like, "Oh, you better not be." So I said that to him, and he turned around, whipped around, came back up to the window and said, "What?" And I said, "You heard me. I called you a stupid rock chucker." And so he proceeds to throw a right jab right into the window at me. And I'll freeze right there and explain to you that the vehicle I'm in has a standard transmission. The truck is in first gear. My foot is on the clutch. And I'm sitting level, and I don't even think I had my foot on the brake. It might have been touching the brake, right? And when he threw the punch, I trapped his hand. When he threw the punch, I just leaned back like that. The punch went by. I grabbed him by the wrist, and I had him, right? And I pulled him like this till his head come in the window, and his arm was stretched out that way. And then I took my left hand like this, because it's kind of confined in a pickup cab, and I hit him about 6 times right behind his right ear. Bat, 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 bat. And I had him stretched out. Bat, 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 And he kind of went like he was going to get away from me, and he was pulling about the 3rd hit. So I popped the clutch while I'm hitting him, and I pulled forward about 3 feet, which pulled his feet off the ground, and now he's hanging by his arm. He's hyperextended by his arm, the car window up under his armpit. His head's in my lap, and I mean, I'm working him over, right? And then finally, I pull up ahead a little more and get myself rolling, and I just let go of him. And I look in my side view mirror, and he falls perfectly sideways next to the vehicle. And I drive away. When his friends in the car were like, "What happened to him?" When I pulled away, they all jumped out. About 5 of them jumped out. By then, I'd been talking to him for so long and stopped. The traffic had moved way ahead past a place where I could turn off of Mitchell. So when I dropped him, I saw his buddies running. I just took off, turned right off that other road, and disappeared into a neighborhood. So that's the story of the last time somebody took a swing at me through a car window. But I do not recommend that you do that. Nowadays, in Oregon, that would probably get me charged with vehicular attempted murder or something crazy. They don't take to fighting too well here. I got a little cousin that did 7 years in prison for hitting another kid with a skateboard. Didn't even break anything. Just gave him a little knot on his head, and they put him away for 7 years for that. So it's best to be judicial and prudent nowadays, and that does not include calling somebody a stupid rock chucker to their face. All right, we'll see you next time on Story Time with Uncle Sage.